My friends were all dead right before my eyes, their bodies and countless others all decorated TGE trenches. We fought together for months, only gaining a few yards, just for a single grenade to wipe out most of the men I fought with. My commander was still alive. "Are you hurt?" he yelled. No, I think I'm okay. But sir, everyone else, I couldn't finish my sentence. "No time, soldier. You're still alive, and if you want to stay that way, keep shooting. I see Germans trying to cross the field," he shouted. I cautiously poked my head above the trench. He was right. About 20 Germans had left the small safety of their trenches and were charging right at us. I quickly ducked behind. Fear had gripped me. I was too scared to move, let alone fire my rifle. This great war had already cost millions their lives. We all knew it was coming. All the European powers were waiting to go at each other's throats and fight for supremacy. Decades were spent arming up and getting ready for the war we all knew was coming. All that was needed was an excuse, the scapegoat to open the gates of war. "Fucking Serbs," I cursed. "If they didn't kill that asshole Duke, I'd still be back home," I yelled out loud. Whack! My commander had hit me, not hard, but hard enough. "Get your shit together. The battle is here. The enemy is on the way, and if you don't fight, you will fucking die." That's all it took to snap me out of it. He was right. I wasn't dead yet. I had to fight to keep it that way. I nodded my head, picked up my rifle, and poked my head over the trench again, this time with the intent to kill. That was the first time I saw him. Through all the smoke, a tall, dark, cloaked figure was slowly walking through the battlefield. He carried nothing but a primitive spear. I was astonished. He kept the same slow pace, completely unfazed by all the blasts and bullets flying around him. What scared me was how all the German troops ran right past him like he wasn't even there. I quickly ducked behind the trench and started panicking again. "I'm fucking losing it," I thought to myself. "I must be hallucinating or something." Out of nowhere, I heard someone shout, "Gas!" Within seconds, our trench was covered in a gray smoke. I could only see a yard or two ahead of me. My eyes and skin started to burn. My lungs felt like they were inhaling fire. With every breath, the pain intensified. I saw my commander fall and start violently twitching. Through the gray smoke, I saw it again. That same dark-cloaked figure walking ever so slow past the countless bodies, past my commander, and slowly towards me. I knew right then and there who it was. Death was coming. "Stay back," I shouted with desperation. The cloaked figure didn't say anything. It just continued walking slowly towards me. Even through the smoke, it was now close enough I could make out every detail about it. The cloak was blacker than I thought possible, with tears and rips everywhere. The hand that gripped its primitive spear wasn't bone like the legends and myths, but a cloudy black. Through its hood, I could see no eyes or face, just complete and utter darkness. "Time to go," it said with a low and raspy voice. No," I coughed out, still suffering from the gas. "I'm not ready," I yelled. "No one ever is," he coldly replied. My mind was racing for a way out. I was terrified beyond what I thought possible, but I still had the natural instinct to survive. In my moment of complete despair and desperation to save myself, I tried to offer something. "Ill cough. I'll give you cough, another life," I managed to choke out. Death kept approaching me, and as it did, my eyesight got more and more dark. "Look, around. I have plenty here," he said. My mind raced to find a solution. Without much thought, I yelled the first idea that came to me. "I'll give you someone who wasn't supposed to die in this battle." Death stopped. I couldn't see its eyes, but I could feel its stare pierce right through me. It just stood there in silence as if pondering something. "Another life will only buy you some time," he finally said. I tried to respond, but the gas had taken its toll on me. "More time for more souls," it continued. "This will be our little game," it coldly said, With all the effort I could muster, I shouted desperately, "I agree." With that, death laughed and the world faded from me. I woke up finding myself in a bed. I looked around and saw a nurse nearby. I tried to call out, but failed to make any noise. My throat was dry. She turned her head, smiled at me when she saw I was awake. "Hello, you are in a field hospital. You have been out for a couple of days," she cheerfully said. I tried to say water, but failed again to make a sound. She immediately understood what I wanted and left. She quickly came back with a jug and a cup of water. I weakly grabbed the cup. It felt like it weighed a ton. I quickly chugged it down and held out the cup with a smile. My way of saying, "More, please." She smiled and refilled it. "Your voice should return within the hour. It's an unfortunate side effect of the gas. You are very lucky you were the only one they found alive," she explained. Tears filled my eyes when she said that. All my friends, all the men I fought with the last few months, were all gone. She put her hand on my shoulder. "Right now, you are safe. You have been through a lot. Try to get some rest. Your strength should return quickly," she softly said. I looked at her and nodded. I put my head back down on my pillow. She then left me all alone. My sorrow was quickly replaced with fear. I remembered my encounter with death. Was that real? Or did I hallucinate the whole thing coming so close to dying? I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Before I knew it, I drifted off to sleep. I awoke to a dimly lit room. The only light came from a nearby lantern. I looked around the tent and realized I was still alone. Before I had time to think, a gray cloud of smoke started to fill the tent. It was the same smoke that had filled the trench I was in. Fear had gripped me. I thought it was another gas attack. Just as I started to try to move, I saw the tall, dark, cloaked figure standing in front of my bed. Now I knew for certain it was all real. My deal with death was on, and I owed a soul. How long do I have?" I asked hesitantly. The cold, raspy voice replied, 3 days. 3 days? That's all I get?" I angrily said. 3 days, it repeated. I was about to protest, but I just nodded my head. I knew there was no use in arguing unless I wanted to die. With that, it disappeared into the smoke, and then the smoke vanished shortly after. My mind was racing. I had 3 days to kill someone, and it made me sick. Who? And how? I thought to myself. I fought in the war for months, but I didn't even know if I ever killed someone. In the trenches, you often fire blindly. Now, I had to kill someone for certain. In the middle of trying to figure this all out, the nurse walked back in. "Oh my, you seem rather pale. Are you feeling worse?" she asked. "No, I feel fine. I think I'm just shaken up from everything that has happened," quickly replied. "It's understandable," she sorrowfully smiled. "War brings out the worst in mankind." She then turned her back to me, trying to fix the bed beside me. "Unfortunately," I quietly said. My mind was racing. "I have to get this bed tidy. Unfortunately, they are bringing someone else in here. Another victim of this war." She frowned. "How bad is it?" I asked curiosity. "Well, it's pretty bad, from what I heard. He lost an arm and a leg, and they don't think he will make it until tomorrow. The best I can do is try to stop the bleeding and treat for shock," she sorrowfully said. "That's horrible," I said. "Does it bother you to have to treat so many fucked up injuries?" I asked. "Language," she yelled, taking me by surprise. "Sorry. And to answer your question, it used to when I first started, but unfortunately you get used to it. It's always horrible to see people suffer, but at least I get a chance to possibly save a few lives," she replied. I really liked and respected her. I could tell she really cared about people. "Thank you for what you do," I genuinely said. She smiled and with that left the tent. I sat back and pondered on what to do. I had thought about killing her when her back was turned, but with how cheery and kind she was, I couldn't do it. I doubt she was even aware of how close she came to dying. This was going to be difficult. After a few more minutes, she had returned with a few soldiers. They were carrying a man missing an arm and a leg. The same man she was talking about. Put him here, she directed to the soldiers, pointing to the bed next to me. They quickly placed him there and left. How's he doing? I asked. Well, he had a fever, but it seems to be down, and his vitals seem kind of stable. Losing not one but two limbs creates a lot of difficulty. He has lost a lot of blood and fluids that I have to try and control. And there is still a danger of infection, she said. This broad knows her shit, I thought to myself. It's hard to say if he will make it, she continued. In an actual hospital, he would have a much better chance. But out here, she paused. I'm sorry I'm rambling on and on. No, it's fine. I just wish I could help, I said. If you want to help, then get better and back on your feet, she replied with a smile. With that, she left. I was now alone with the injured man. I felt sorry for him. This war made people lose so much. Even if he survived, he would live as a cripple, unable to do the most basic things in life. I tried to justify to myself. This was when I decided to make my move. I was all alone with him. His fate was uncertain. Mine wasn't. I only had 3 days left. This kill wouldn't just help me, but it would be a mercy for him. I got out of my bed and slowly walked towards him. He was completely passed out. I grabbed his pillow from underneath his head. I took a deep breath and looked away as I slammed the pillow on his face. His body moved, but was too weak to put up any fight. I held back tears as I kept the pillow on him. His body struggled with desperation to stay alive, moving his remaining arm and leg. Finally, he had stopped moving. I kept the pillow over his face, too afraid to remove it. After some time, I had gathered enough courage to remove it, and I became even more horrified. He was dead, but his eyes were wide open, showing no, but the terror he had just experienced. I felt sick. I didn't think he would have woken up through this, but he must have. Why else were his eyes open? I could feel my chest tighten as my breathing increased. I couldn't believe what I had done. I had taken another man's life. I had made my first kill.